Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm talking about how and why you should pursue competitions over activities to get into Ivy League schools or to just improve your career capital, to make connections, to improve your resume, and just be really ahead of all your competition as a high school student. And so this is something that I get asked all the time is, well, should I do this or should I do that? Or should I join this club or should I join that club? And kind of my litmus test and something that I repeat over and over and over again is pursue competitions over activities. Um, in my high school, I was the captain of the debate team, and I think that that seems really impressive. But what's a lot more impressive than that is going to competitions and competing and trying to win awards or just being there in the atmosphere. And something that is kind of lost in translation is that a lot of people try to get club positions or leadership positions or all these sorts of things. And what you're showing is that you are participating in something that exists already. And kind of what you want to show is that you're working really hard to develop skills that will improve your career and make you a really smart person. And that's what competitions do. So when I say competitions, things that I mean are things like USACO, which is like a coding competition, things like math competitions that are offered at your high school or that are offered nationally, things like science fairs that are offered where you can compete with people and present your research, things like debate competitions, things like speaking competitions, things like business competitions, things where you're actually ranked based on your performance, based on your skills, based on your knowledge and skills. Those are really valuable things to include in your resume, even if you don't win things. But it's really important that you just go out there and try and learn and, focus on one competition or focus on one sort of pursuit and develop the skills necessary to take you there. So I'm gonna talk about that in more specific detail. So the first way is that competitions are ways to showcase your skills and talents to colleges. And if you've looked at a lot of the videos on my channel, you'll see my resume and you can see kind of why I focused on competitions, because it's a really easy way to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. When I say that, I know a lot about debate, it's because I have these, 8 competitions or 10 competitions that I competed in. And even if I didn't do as well as I wanted to in those competitions, I still showed that, I went there, I won something, even if I was like 8th place, that's like 8th out of like 200 people, right? It's still showing that I developed the skills and the talents to be able to compete at that high of a level, especially if they're national competitions. You're really showing your skills and talents to colleges. Um, and this is also something that nobody can take away from you for the rest of your career. I know people who won spelling bee, geography bee, in like the 4th or 5th grade that still put that in their resume. I know people who won debate competitions and still put that on their resume like 20 years later for jobs that they're applying to. It's really impressive to be able to win some of these high school competitions just because the competition is so high. And so just like being able to showcase your skill at that early of an age is really valuable. Another thing that I don't mention here is that, if you do win any sort of competition or you do really well at a competition, you are going to be able to charge a lot of money for that later down the line when you go to college or when you leave college, because having a win in a competition where you had to work really hard and develop the skills, you can teach other people in a group setting and kind of charge some money and be able to help other people get to the workplace that you were. And so it's pretty nice to be able to make that money, but also to just showcase your skills to colleges, potential employers, potential internships, things like that. Okay, the next thing is that a lot of extracurricular activities, it's kind of like the difference between SAT and grades. Grades, it's really hard to say, like, is this a hard class? Is this an easy class? Was your teacher hard? Was your teacher easy? Is it hard to become captain of the debate team at your school? Or is it like there was nobody who applied for that? Versus competitions, yeah, I can very clearly say, there's 200 people. It's a national level competition. I got this place. I was this level of speaker. I won this many rounds. I lost this many rounds. Or if I went to a math competition, I can say, like, I got this many right. I got this many wrong. This is my position in the country. This is my position in the state, etc., etc., right? It's a lot of numbers. It's a lot of detailed descriptors of where you are, how you're doing, and things like that. And so as a result, there's a lot more prestige because if you win something, they know that it's competitive versus it's not something that you're just participating in, right? Okay. So if you win or place in a competition, you're demonstrating your dedication and your ability to succeed in a competitive environment. And so if they're kind of looking for, top 7%, top 5% of students to accept into their school, do you think that they're going to accept somebody who they don't know is the top 5%, or somebody that consistently shows in different competitions that, I'm the top 3% in math in the country, or I'm the top 2% in coding in the country, right? These competitions demonstrate your dedication and your ability to succeed in a competitive environment. And college admissions, or just jobs or internships or any sort of thing, is a competitive environment. And so demonstrating your ability to like really focus on something and develop a skill in a competitive environment, that's something that kind of enhances your chances at getting more competitive things later down the line. Okay. If you're really interested in computer science and you're not participating in things like USICO or things like, I don't know, other CS competitions, that's kind of like showing that you had the chance to participate in this thing that's like developed for high school students to develop their proficiency in a field, and you're not taking it, and so that's kind of like a detractor. Versus if you're you know interested in biology and you participate in biology olympiad, and even if you don't do well but you just participate every year and you just constantly improve your score over the years, you're showing that you have a demonstrated interest in that field, and you're like constantly hitting the books, you're constantly studying for something that's really difficult. And so it's a great way to kind of show your proficiency or your interest in a field just by competing, or just by doing your best in that competition. Okay, I think the major benefit over getting into Ivy League schools or even getting into jobs is that you develop a lot of critical thinking, problem solving, even teamwork if you're doing something like speaking or debate. But like even things like AMC 10, AMC 12, that's a lot of critical thinking, a lot of problem solving. A lot of these competitions have been developed over like, I don't know, 10, 20 years. They're really, really well developed competitions and really prestigious competitions. These are things that you don't really get after high school. High school is kind of this unique time where there's tons of opportunities that are given to you where you can just compete at like really high level things, high level competitions, and there's so little stakes. If you don't do well on AMC 10, don't mention it anywhere. You don't have to. If you don't do well on AMC 12, you don't have to mention it. If you don't do well in a debate tournament, you don't have to mention it anywhere, right? But if you do well, then and I mean, even if you don't do well, you're still developing that ability to take the L, to take losses, to take hits, to develop your critical thinking, to develop your problem solving, to work with other people, to compete against other people. It's a valuable skill that you're developing. And so that's why competition is kind of valuable. Okay, having competition experience can give you an advantage in college applications because it shows that you're having experience in a highly competitive environment. Again, I talked about that. And then finally, I think this is really, or not finally, sorry, second to last, competitions really open doors to opportunities like internships and scholarships. Scholarships, if they're awarding money to people, it's really easy to say like, okay, this person got this competition, this win, they should receive some scholarship. And a lot of these competitions, they do give scholarships to the people who win the competition. Now, I will say that those scholarships are extremely difficult to get, and so I wouldn't be participating in the competitions to get that scholarship because a lot of times you have to be like top 5 in the country, which is like impossible except for the top 5 in the country. So don't aim for that. But it might open up doors for getting scholarships later down the line, including from colleges. And then finally, you're kind of focusing on quality over quantity. A lot of times I see people who do like 7 different clubs, and I don't know how involved they were in the extracurricular clubs, but I know that like silver in USICO, or 10 out of 25 in AMC 10 or something like that. I know how much work it takes to get to that level. I know how much studying it takes to get to those levels, right? If you did really well in biology olympiad, I know how difficult that exam was. If you made it to the tournament of champions and debate, I know how extremely difficult that is, right? It's a very high quality thing that you're adding to your application, and it's really, really showing your spike, your interest, your proficiency, your skill sets. It's really amazing to include in any sort of application. So if this was helpful, I can make another video where I kind of talk about different competitions, different activities that you can participate in order to like build a skill set, build a application, and exactly how to prepare for that. So if you're interested in that, just leave it in the comments down below and I'll make a second video, part 2 to this. But I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.